You can tweet as me, just tweet as me. Yeah, it's the movie. It's the movie. Like a new movie with voiceover, this is actually the song.
Oh, it is. I gotcha.
Just grab it. That's all right, no worries. So you can see all the things in Google Doc. Do you mind me? You know it's not too bad. Great. All right. So a bunch of years ago, I had this crazy idea. I was a middle school English teacher, and I was really frustrated by some of the experiences I was having in the classroom, some of the technology I was using. And I had this wild idea, and I said, I want to learn how to code. I want to learn how to build my own app. So I spent the summer learning Ruby on Rails, and I learned a little bit of computer programming. I'm not really going to tell that particular story today, but that experience, learning how to program as somebody who only has a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in English and really didn't take any higher level math courses, gave me a very good understanding of some of the possibilities and some of the limitations when it comes to programming a book app. And also about what our students will need if we want them in the future to be able to be the types of people who can go off into the publishing world and create book apps. So the thing to understand about book apps is that they're the confluence of the liberal arts and computational thinking. And those are two fields that we really want to foster in K-12 education, liberal arts and computational thinking. And we want that across the curriculum. So the most important element moving forward when we're thinking about book apps is actually the story. The story is key, particularly because we're living in a time of what Douglas Rushkoff would call narrative collapse. And when you see here what makes a good story, all of these elements, the narrator, the trust that the reader has, that the narrator is making a story that the reader can connect with, we're not seeing that so much as a part of our students' everyday experiences. Because in Present Shock, Douglas Rushkoff writes about how students today experience something called narrative collapse. Another great book that just came out by David Bianculli about the platinum age of television. He says the 20th century was the golden age of television. Now in the 21st century, we're in the platinum age of television. And think of any of these TV shows on HBO or Showtime or Netflix or Amazon that are really capturing the attention of our students. They don't follow that linear structure. They're postmodern, they're disrupted, they're fragmented. The experience that our students have with media is no longer the plot diagram that we're teaching them. So they don't always quite understand the concept of story the way we imagine that they should. They're also living in a time where we spend a lot of time with informational text in the classroom, not as much time with imaginative text. So story is still something we need to teach in our classrooms. But when we're thinking about things that are a little bit more technological, UX, which is the official term, user experience, it describes many of the things that Susie and Jean and Rose were discussing in their presentations, which is that the user has to have a privileged sense in whatever the application is. So if you look at this diagram, this is the difference between user experience and design. And I'm sure you've seen something like this in your neighborhood, on your campus, in your school. The designer knows best, and it's a top-down approach, and they're saying this is the way you should walk. But that's not the way you walk. It's easier to go this way, it's faster to go this way. And when you're looking at all apps, regardless of educational or entertainment or government apps, you know, how to get your Obamacare while it's still there, anything, any of those things. The user experience is more important than what the designer thinks the user needs. And we can start to foster that with our students by empowering user experience in the classroom. So when you do small group work, if you're assigning people different roles, make one of them the UX expert. And a good reason to do that is a large number of the jobs that are in our new emerging economy call for user experience and UX experts. So getting students to think early on is key, because the jobs that are coming down the pike are all going to be about how would a user use this app? How would a user use this, whether it's a book app or it's a mobile app of another kind, being able to figure out this rather than this. Okay, thanks. So the next one, we hear this a lot, computational thinking. And computational thinking is more than just computer programming. The worst thing your school can do is say, all right, we're going to do computer science for all, and everybody is going to learn object-oriented Java or Python or something like that. Because really, computational thinking is both concepts and its approaches. Now, you might not find in your English language arts class that there's time to teach algorithms, and that's perfectly acceptable. But when you're thinking about the approaches, this idea of tinkering, creating, debugging, persevering, collaborating, all things that you do as a great writer are also things that are valued in the world of computer programming. Mostly what you do as a programmer is you debug. You write a line of code, it runs, or most likely it does not run. And then you have to fix it and figure out what's wrong with it. If we approached writing workshop that way, where we ask students to debug their sentences, we ask students to try to figure out why the sentence doesn't run. Why doesn't it work with the line, with the sentence that came before and the sentence that came after it? That's computer programming. You write a line of code and it doesn't work because the sentence before it, which they don't call it sentences, they call it lines, but the line before it had an error. So getting them to think that way, you're encouraging computational thinking. Every good programmer will tell you, you code collaboratively. There's no one person who builds an app. You build on a team and you write together. You use something called GitHub, which is kind of like Google Docs, where you can share information and you can see who made what changes and what edits. By using any type of, whether you do it on paper or you do it on Google, or even there are some techie people who write on GitHub, you're getting them ready for the types of jobs that are going to require them to work together and work remotely together. So some tools to get started. If you're fortunate enough to have tech that you have access to in the classroom, this is the way to go. Either Scratch or Ncte App Inventor. They are both browser-based programs. What that means is you don't have to download any software. You don't technically need your IT person at school to be in the room with you. These are things that students can get online immediately and try and learn how to build an app. So if you do a book project with your students, even young ones, even kindergartners, and then you ask them to maybe write their own story, then they want to build an app in the classroom. Maybe you can do a collaborative story for the whole classroom. You can build it in Ncte App Inventor. That's only Android, so you can only launch it on Android, but you can build it on any device. You can build it on an Apple device, you can build it on just a laptop. And they even, which is super cool, if you don't have internet access in your school, you can download like a kit ahead of time, somewhere where there is internet access, and then have the students code offline. So this is a wonderful option. Scratch is what we call device agnostic. It works on all devices. So you've got some options if you're fortunate enough to have tech in the classroom to have your students, once they've written a story, then try to bring it to life as an app. And the last thing that we have to do, particularly if you teach upper level students, is get them accustomed to market realities. There's a great book out by Tim Wu called The Attention Merchants, and he explains in that book that very often developers and programmers know all about everything Susan's talking about. They know a lot of limitations, but they are stuck because they work for a corporation that has shareholders, and those shareholders expect revenue, and they just want that revenue as quickly as possible. And in terms of short-term gains, they're not seeing the long-term gains. What we know when we're looking at these great children's books, and what we know about children's books in general, is that they appreciate and value over time. So it takes many generations for a children's book to become beloved, to become a bestseller, to stay in print, or even to come back to print. So if you're rushing to market with a book app, you're missing the long-term economic gains with a book app. So if you can get students to understand some of how the market works, when they start to come up with ideas, because our kids have lots of ideas, of something they want to build, or something they want to sell, get them thinking about that early, because when they come back to you later, they're going to hopefully lead with story rather than technology. And that's what we want them to move forward, whether they build book apps one day or an app for the government, or an app for the next Airbnb or Grubhub or whatever, that they lead with story, they lead with user experience. So even though our collective experience here might not be super technological in our classrooms, we can do great things with narrative to bring the liberal arts and computational thinking together. Thanks.